A woman poured her boyfriend's ashes into a cup. She added hot water and stirred it well. Then she downed it in one gulp. Right at that moment, she realized the ashes actually tasted sweet. She took another sip in disbelief. The ashes weren't just sweet, they had a milky flavor. Curious, she picked up some ashes and tasted them directly. The woman was completely stunned. The ashes had turned into baby formula. Just as she stood there confused, her phone buzzed with a purchase notification. The charge came from her dead boyfriend's bank card, but she had just finished arranging his funeral. But what she didn't know was, her boyfriend wasn't dead. Instead, he had gained the power of immortality. Her boyfriend stumbled upon an immortality system out of nowhere. All he had to do was complete 100 tasks for his girlfriend to gain eternal life. But just as he finished task number 99, disaster struck without warning. He discovered his girlfriend's first love had returned from overseas. The guy knew his girlfriend had always seen him as nothing more than a rebound. Now that her true love was back, there was no way he could stay by her side anymore. Sure enough, the first thing the ex did was push him out of the picture. When the ex heard she was about to get married, he pretended to be hurt and threatened to leave, swearing he'd never interfere in her life again. His manipulation worked like a charm. She instantly panicked. She desperately begged him to stay, even promised she'd dump her boyfriend immediately. The boyfriend's heart sank. He hadn't completed his 100th task yet. He absolutely couldn't leave her now. Before he could figure out what to do, the ex suddenly coughed up blood, claiming he had a terminal heart condition. Said he came back just to see her one last time. She was devastated by the news, but her doctor friend suddenly told her she'd found the perfect heart donor match, and that person was none other than her current boyfriend. He would definitely sacrifice himself to save the ex for her sake. When the ex saw her hesitating, he immediately acted like he was dying. The friend pushed harder, saying if he didn't get a transplant immediately, he wouldn't make it through the night, then pulled out a prepared organ donation consent form. In the end, she agreed to the surgery. Little did she know this was all a conspiracy between the ex and her friend. Their real goal was to make the boyfriend disappear permanently. The woman approached him with the consent form, said her ex had a heart condition, and only his heart could save him. She said if he was willing to donate his heart to save her ex, she'd pay him $10 million as compensation. Despite this outrageous request, he stayed remarkably calm. He immediately signed the donation papers without hesitation. After signing, he was secretly thrilled, because he'd finally completed his 100th task. Seeing how quickly he agreed, she promised to get him an artificial heart after the donation, guaranteeing he'd be set for life. But he didn't care about any of that, because completing all 100 tasks meant he'd become immortal. When they arrived at the hospital entrance, unexpectedly, she started having second thoughts. She suddenly realized how unfair this was to him, and suggested they call off the heart transplant. He immediately panicked. If she backed out now, he'd never complete his mission and gain immortality. So he quickly grabbed her hands, insisted he didn't care about fairness, said he'd do anything as long as she was happy. The moment he finished speaking, a car came barreling straight toward them. He shoved her out of the way, but got hit hard himself. She rushed over to help him up, moved by what she thought was his deep love for her. While he was just thinking if she died, he couldn't complete his task. He urgently told her while his heart was still beating, they needed to rush to the hospital for the transplant surgery. But touched by his sacrifice, she said forget the transplant. Luckily her friend showed up just in time. She immediately called over a group of people who carried him straight into the operating room. Just when he thought he could finally complete his mission, the friend told him they didn't actually want his heart. They wanted him dead. Turns out the ex was never sick at all. The whole heart transplant scheme was just to kill him. The ex pulled out a prepared syringe of poison, and injected it into him without hesitation. Little did they know he'd already completed his task and gained immortality. He immediately played along and faked his death. Soon after, the woman saw her friend emerge from the operating room. The friend told her the surgery was a success. The ex had successfully received the new heart, but he had died from excessive blood loss. Later, at his funeral, she cried her eyes out, but she'd never know. The supposedly dead man had been secretly moved elsewhere, to make her truly believe he was dead. He'd even filled the urn with powdered milk to fake his ashes. Then he started enjoying his new life. But considering she'd given him $20 million, he decided to do one last thing for her, to expose her friend and ex for who they really were. He'd obtained the operating room surveillance footage. The video showed the friend and ex constantly mocking him, saying he was stupid enough to die for her. The friend then told him the ex was never sick. After seeing the footage, she finally realized she'd been played by her ex and friend. He was the one who truly loved her, so she made a bold decision.